Welcome to another edition of The Schmidt Show here on News Radio 1029 KARN. My name is Brad Schmidt. Thanks for joining me this afternoon. 501-403 KARN is the phone number, 501-403-5276. If you would like to be a part of the discussion. A lot to get to today, a lot to talk about, of course. Mention a couple of things here, a little bit of, I don't know what you call this, house cleaning or whatever they call it. We've got some tickets that we're going to be giving away. The Fly Fishing Film Tour 2024, it is the Arkansas Fly Fishers and Fish On and Custom Rods are proud to again bring the Fly Fishing Film Tour here to Central Arkansas. This year, the presentation is going to be at the Ron Robinson Theater at 6 p.m. on Saturday, March 30th. So we've got a few pairs of tickets to give away to this. Prior to the actual presentation, there will be a fly fisher mixer in the community room where you can mingle with some fly fishing guides, club members, and other members of the fly fishing community. So we've got 5 pairs of tickets to give away. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to give away 2 pairs of tickets between the 2 o'clock and the 4 o'clock hour. 2 and 4 o'clock hour. 2 pairs of tickets between the 4 and 6 o'clock hour. And then tomorrow we're going to give away 1 pair of tickets throughout the show. So we're going to do a texting contest. We'll have to come up with a word for you to text in. I haven't figured out that word yet. We're still playing with some ideas. It's probably going to have something to do with fly fishing. So be listening for that word. We'll get into that as we go on with the show today. So be aware of that. Also, want to just mention to you, we've been kind of playing around with some video stuff lately, and we've got some cameras set up in the studio. And if you have been following us on Twitter, on the KARN Twitter page, or if you follow the KARN YouTube page, you've seen our live broadcasts. But if you don't do YouTube or you don't do Twitter, you can just go to our website, newsradio1029.com, and under the On Demand tab, if you just hold your mouse over top of the On Demand link there, you'll see a little thing that says KARN TV. And if you click on that, you'll go to a special page where you can see my ugly mug on the screen right there on your computer, on your laptop, even on your phone. So we don't do it all day, every day. We're not doing 4 hours a day. I usually just do the opening of the show, talk a little bit about what we're going to talk about, and then invite you to either come over to our website, come over to the app, listen to us there, or simply turn on a good old-fashioned radio and tune into our over-the-air broadcast. So I just want to mention that if it's something you're interested in, you want to see what I look like, what I'm wearing today. Today I'm wearing my Sebastian Vettel Aston Martin Formula One team hoodie. Under that, I've just got a blue T-shirt on, so nothing fancy there. But yeah, if you do want to see my ugly mug, see what I look like, that's how you can do it. So as we get into the show today, though, of course, there is a ton to talk about. We're very likely going to spend a lot of time on the Maryland Bridge collapse. Last night at about 1:40 in the morning, Maryland time, a Singaporean flagged container ship known as the Dali, D-A-L-I, lost power, lost propulsion for about 60 seconds, they said, 2 different times. The ship's captain radioed ahead to the Maryland Department of Transportation, who then did everything they could to stop traffic on the bridge because there could be a potential collision. And of course, there was. The ship hit a piling, a bridge pier, I guess you would call it, a support structure. And just looking at the pictures, I would say about half of the bridge collapsed, about half of the span crossing the Chesapeake Bay. It's a river, actually, off of the edge of the Chesapeake Bay, and I can't remember the name of the river. All of a sudden, it escapes me, but it starts with a P. And the bridge collapsed into the water. A construction crew of 7 members was on the bridge at the time, and 2 have been recovered. 1 is in critical condition. The other actually refused treatment, so apparently is doing okay. But there's a lot of details there. We'll be talking about this. Of course, one of the questions that will come up is, what do we do with this? What should our response be? And quite honestly, perhaps our response should be nothing. It's possible that this is nothing more than an accident that really no one is at fault for. No individual that can be, have a finger pointed at them that this is the reason the bridge fell. I mean, it could be that someone on the ship failed to follow whatever procedures or things like that, or the captain could have been drunk or something like that, but not something that, we should pass another law to further regulate the shipping industry, because it may not have anything to do with any of that. And we just don't know at this point. So the thing that I'm a bit concerned about is that there's going to be some sort of knee-jerk reaction where 435 members of the House and 100 members in the Senate and a whole bunch of members of the White House and executive cabinet will start shouting, "We must pass some common sense shipping regulation laws," and make everything worse and non-helpful to anyone. So it is actually possible. It is genuinely possible that our response to this should be nothing other than, oh my gosh, that's tragic. How can we make sure that the unfortunate victims of this tragic accident are appropriately honored or memorialized? It may literally be nothing more than that. But I'm afraid what we're going to see over the coming days and weeks is a lot of, we can never let this happen again, and we must pass some legislation to make sure it never happens again. And sometimes accidents are just accidents. You mitigate the possibilities, knowing that you'll never be able to entirely eliminate them. Now, the Secretary of the Department of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg, is a moron, and we'll talk a little bit about that, but he's not to blame for this. Joe Biden is a bumbling, delusional, and demented old fool, but he's not to blame for this. Donald Trump is somewhat of an arrogant, egotistical blowhard, but he's not to blame for this. The Republicans voted against an infrastructure bill that Joe Biden was trying to pass, and they're not to blame for this. And Democrats do all kinds of crazy, silly things with environmental policy that harms the Department of Transportation and the ability of American companies to transport goods and services across the country, but they're not to blame for this either. It really does appear, at least initially, to be nothing more than a tragic accident. Now, we'll get to all this, and we'll talk a little bit about it. Texter says the Patapsco River. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. I appreciate that. I'm serious. I'm not being facetious. I mean it. Thank you for clarifying. We're going to talk a little bit more about some of the other stories. One of the stories that's been kind of floating low-key in the background in the conservative world is Candace Owens leaving the Daily Wire. I think I may have mentioned this yesterday, but I don't remember for sure. Honestly, it's so silly and pointless. I don't understand where all of the hatefulness and rage that everybody is feeling about all of this. I want to talk a little bit about the $1.2 trillion spending bill. I know I brought this up yesterday. We never did get to it. I also want to mention this. I put this out on Twitter, on my personal Twitter page yesterday. I posted a tweet yesterday, last evening actually, about some of what's going on with this fraud case in New York. Because one of the individuals running for Congress here in Arkansas made such a ridiculously stupid statement about it. I felt it necessary to respond, but I got to thinking a little bit more about it. And I asked this question. And this is one of the things we're going to get into, and I want to hear your thoughts on it for sure, so you're going to need to give me a call or shoot me a text message. What if the fraud case in New York really has nothing to do with Donald Trump? What if it's simply an effort to set a legal precedent for justifying the nationalization of corporations and potentially entire industries? What if that's really the end goal here, and Donald Trump just happens to be the tool that is being used by the radical Marxists and socialists that want to convert our economy into a socialist economy? What if that's really the end game? And I've got a few hypothetical examples as to why, and I even have a few real world examples of how it has happened in the past. So we'll get into that, and that is where we're going to take off here today. So if you want to keep listening to the show, if you want to keep following me, and you happen to be following us on Twitter or YouTube or on our website through the Karn TV link, make sure you head on over to the actual radio or to our app or to our website where you click on the Listen Live link instead and follow the show as we continue next on News Radio 1029 KARN.